Hello. So, we're going to talk about how to use crossing stances in a functional sense and what they're used to teach us. They don't provide that same stability as you would get from a horse stance or from a front stance, which has more of a functional application. Where a crossing stance to me is more conceptual learning and has more of a divisive context in that it is hiding the application of some of the movements. Now, in certain circumstances, a crossing stance is good for transitioning. If I'm transitioning to do a side kick, if I'm retreating, if I'm trying to cut an angle, I might approximate a crossing stance, but I'm not going to sink low into it like you would see in the form or kata. So here I've spliced together a video that's going to show you two separate ways that we use crossing stances. Now, these do not mean these are concrete methods. They're options, I would say. So when I'm doing this movement here, the application for that is not an absolute. There are variants to it, and I'm open to hearing what you think these movements could mean. So now let's take a look at the first technique.
So first, we're going to start off by showing how to practice the form itself. It's a pretty simple movement, just stepping forward into the crossing stance and the hand coming around. Now here's a slower breakdown of that movement showing where the application is derived from. Now here's a way to practice this movement in a way that exemplifies its functionality. And as a side note, I'd recommend practicing this with your hand up in guard position as opposed to being in chamber.
So for the first movement, we start here, we go into our crossing stance, look back and block. Pretty simple move. We see it a lot. It's most popularly noted in southern forms like Kongar, where they'll do their salute this way, or Lao Ga Kun, they might do it this way. Now it depends on your system, depends on your branch, but we've all seen it if we're familiar with the system. And if not, you've seen it now. So, why does that equate a kick, right? The way the waist is turning and the way the foot comes up to get into that crossing stance is what's implying that it's a low kick. Now we're going to move on to our second technique, the uppercuts from the butterfly palms form. And I'm sure other kata have it. I know I've seen it in Tiger Crane. So it's frequent, but what's the function? Why are we doing it in a crossing stance? Now, the reason we're doing it in a crossing stance is to learn, again, how to use our waist. Because if we're just doing these kind of uppercuts, there's no power. It's just shoulder movement, really. Now, if you can argue that, sure, I'm pushing off with my back leg if I'm in a front stance, but that's not the point here. That's not going to generate power that's going to do significant damage. So what the crossing stance is teaching me is this twist here of my waist to generate power and to redirect an incoming strike. So if I'm in a fighting position here and someone throws straight, first we're going to talk about the block. So I can move out the way and cover, right? But as opposed to using my hand, I'm going to coordinate it with my body. So I'm going to move out the way, redirect, and come up. So we have the redirection with the hand. Second, we have the power generation for this punch. Because in this crossing stance position, I have no root established. If I decided to strike somebody like this, all I'm going to do is frustrate them. There is no real connection. So we connect to our stance, we connect to our body by coordinating with our waist.
So here's how this movement is supposed to be practiced in the form. Now you can see you're even traveling forward in the crossing stance, which for self-defense, for sport, for any kind of live resistance, I would not recommend at all. But conceptually, you can see that twist is what's going to help you generate power. Now here's another way to drill this movement in a way that looks a lot more like you'd use it in an actual engagement with a partner, with somebody that's trying to hurt you, or any other context. You'll see that with these movements, I tend to move my head out of the way. Kung Fu generally lacks head movement in its practice, So when I'm making these drills and practicing them, I like to incorporate it when appropriate.
Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this. I hope you learned something, and I will continue to post things more regularly. I'm trying to post every Friday, so I will be uploading new content on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On YouTube, I'll specifically be uploading full-length videos on Fridays. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them down below. If you have any ideas as to things that you think you'd want to hear or learn more about, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Next week, we'll be probably looking more into what it means to practice a form functionally, or we'll be looking at specifics for one particular form. Haven't quite decided yet. Let me know what you think. Which one do you prefer?